Have you ever stopped to think about the fans behind a band? What is it about the music that keeps fans coming back for more? Or is there more? My name is Renae Lipsmeyer, and I am the host of this podcast, The Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. Each week, a fellow DMB fan joins the show to discuss their journey with the band. Welcome to the Space Between Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of a band that has been putting out music for over 30 years. So if this is your very first time to listen to this show, welcome. Thank you for listening. We are going to be talking about our favorite band, and we hope that it's one that you like because we're going to talk an awful lot about it, the Dave Matthews Band. So every episode, I have a fan of the Dave Matthews Band come on and tell their journey with this band. Everyone's journey has looked very different because, of course, with a band that has over 30 years, people have picked it up at different times and in different periods of their life. And so every story is beautiful. So today, of course, I have another guest on to share their journey with this band that we love so much. So first of all, thank you so much for joining the show. Tell our listeners who you are, where you are, and where in the world did you hear of the Dave Matthews Band?
Okay, so my name is Larry Boodman, but all my friends and all my DMB peeps know me as Boody. Last name.
Yes.
I've been called Boody since I was like 3 years old. So
you just got okay with it really quickly. You're like, it is what it is.
It is what it is. That's Boody with a D, not a T, because that's
totally different. Totally different.
And so we're going with Boody with a D.
That's right.
Man, so this year, 2024, this is my 30th year as a DMB fan.
That's wild.
Let me think about this. My junior year of high school, I went to a party with a friend of mine, and I've been playing drums since I was 11. So he knew I was a drummer. He knew I loved music. And he's like, "Hey man, you gotta come out to my car and listen to this band for a minute." I'm like, okay. I'm like, we're missing the party, man. Like, no. Come out to my car. So we go out to, big CD folder, and he's flipping through, and he puts the CD in, and I'm listening to it, and we ended up listening to the entire album in the car. We did not go back to the party until I think the party was over. We went back inside, but
wait, what album? What album was it? You have to tell us.
Under the Table and Dreaming.
Okay, that's important.
Which was released. Under the Table and Dreaming was released on September 27th of 94. And so this was December, played the album, sat in the car, I listened to it, and, something chemically changed in my brain, and I was like, this band is incredible. And beyond that point, that was it. I was kind of like mesmerized. The drumming especially, I had not heard. I mean, there's drummers in history. When you hear them play, you know who they are. You know when it's Stuart Copeland. You know when it's Steve Gadd. You know when it's, Neil Peart. And Carter is in that bucket. When you hear Carter play, you're like, that's Carter Beauford.
Yes.
So that kind of blew my mind. And then after that, that started, the roller coaster, as we all know.
Yes.
My first show that I saw them at was May 13th, 1995. It was at the Hollywood Palladium, and I think Big Head Todd and the Monsters opened for them, which I love Big Head Todd as well. And when you see DMB live for the first time, that's it. It's like the album is like a very mild drug, and then you go to the live show and you get the really
fucking heroin.
And then you're like, okay, well, where am I getting my next hit from?
Yes, exactly.
And so from then on, I mean, I really just started following the band. I've been following them for 30 years now, and so much of my relationships and my life is just intertwined with different eras of that band, and there are some things that are very closely connected and came out of the relationships from that, and then there are other things that
Of
come and
course.
go as they all do.
Yeah.
And I've been to some pretty hallmark shows, if you will, of the band
Yes.
in
Yes.
person. I have a list here because I knew you
Well,
you're gonna
and
want to know
let's
this.
pause just for a minute. I
Okay.
want to go back to that moment in the car. First of all, whoever this dude was that was like, "Hey, is he still a
Yeah.
fan? Does he still love the band?"
Yes, he does. He's not a fan like I am, but he does still love the band, and we talk from time to time. And
You should send him a thank you card like every year. Honestly.
it's funny that you say that because sometimes I'll be at a concert and I'll text him. I'm like, this is all your fault that I'm here again and spending all my money, and but
But
thank you. I love
also,
it.
what a beautiful thing, like, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I know that this music does more than just entertain us, right? So, I mean, have you seen those YouTube videos of someone that's listening to a song for the very first time and like
yes,
the reactions that they have? Don't you wish that you could just go back and see your face in that car listening to
yeah,
that album just to see like
yeah,
what pulled your ears at that very moment and like what was like whoa what did just what just happened?
yeah.
Can you remember any of those thought processes when you were in the car, other than the drums, which we know kind of captured your heart? What outside of that really was like either different for you, but also because think about the 90s, right?
Yeah.
What were you listening to before this was introduced? So
So
answer
yeah,
all of that.
yeah. I came up. I don't know if I came up with it, but I have the music pyramid. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but
Uh-uh.
if you think of a pyramid in your mind, right? At the
Okay.
very top, you have one little triangle, and you put your top band in that triangle artist, right? For us,
Yes.
it's DMB, and
Yes.
then the next tier below that is your next three, and then your next tier below that is five, and then your bottom tier is seven. And you can create your pyramid, and it's a fun little thing. Like people, if you talk about music and get music
Ooh,
conversations, people are like,
yeah.
"Hey, what's your music pyramid?" And you can
Oh
show them like,
shit.
"Oh, okay," and
I
then
got
you
to
can
get that
compare
ready.
like, "Oh, look at your tier, look at that tier." Oh, yeah. So,
Oh.
okay, so my tier before DMB was like, I would say probably Paul Simon was in
Okay.
my top triangle. So
Yeah.
I was already listening to an acoustic guitar singer songwriter, kind of had a folky blues with a lot of world music infusion, like Graceland and Rhythm of the Saints are two of my top albums ever. um, and so I was listening to like Paul Simon, I was listening to Sting and Police, I was listening to I'm a huge Tears for Fears fan,
Oh yeah.
because I'm an 80s kid,
Yeah.
and so like I have a Counting Crows and Ben Folds, and like there's all sorts of people on my pyramid that I love. But DMB kind of knocked out everybody in my top tier and went right to the top. And I
Wow.
think it's because it really combined. I mean, if you think about like Sting and the Police, you have a very unique drummer, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of world infusion sounds, a lot of reggae, a lot of um, you know, um, Caribbean kind of influence and punk. And then you have Paul Simon, who again has got like African and South American and blues and gospel, and he's throwing that all in the bag. And he has great drummers and great percussion. So that was always there for me. Like I was always seeking that out. And then Dave Matthews Band is like all of it. It's
Mm-hmm.
you have the drums and you have the horns and you have a violin and sometimes you have keys and then you have Dave's songwriting and his lyrics and the messaging and it just all kind of came together for me, as far as what I like in music.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
there wasn't anything that was really going to top that, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of that's where I was not a typical 90s kid. I wasn't listening to a ton of like, punk and alternative. I knew like Nirvana and
Mm-hmm.
Pearl Jam were
Yeah.
dominating in the early
Mm-hmm.
90s and mid 90s. And I like those bands.
Of
Those
course.
bands
Yeah.
are really important and influential. But that
Yes.
wasn't I started on like the first CD that I bought when I was old enough was Bitches Brew by Miles Davis. Like I was a jazz
Oh
kid.
shit.
I was
I love
listening to
that.
like Yeah, I was listening to weird shit,
No, that's
and
amazing.
kids were always like, what are you listening to? What are you? I'm like, listen to Nirvana. I'm like, I like this stuff. And I was a theater kid too. I was a total theater dork, so I had like a lot of musical theater background. So I had these weird musical influences happening, and then and so Dave when Dave came in, it was kind of like he wasn't the 90s. He wasn't what was happening in the 90s. It was that alternative heavy sound that was really taking over.
Yeah.
And he came in with more of an acoustic, vibey, kind of chill. I mean, some of his songs are chill and some of them were really intense, but for the most part, he's pretty chill. And it just that was me. That was my sensibility, which
Yeah,
is why my friend was like, "You got to hear this." I think this is. He
that
knew
makes
that I
sense.
loved Paul Simon and Sting. He's like, "This band is you're
He
gonna love this band."
knew. Yeah,
He
he
knew.
knew. Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, I think that's so important to kind of understand one's musical background. You talk about that music pyramid. Honestly, to God, I'd never heard of, I'm not in the
Oh,
music industry.
sweet.
I don't know any of those things. So
It's not a music
just,
industry thing. It's just a way to
oh,
organize your thoughts on what
well,
you love.
you have given me homework, sir, and I cannot thank you enough because
You're welcome.
I will probably be that girl that like takes a picture of it and puts it in my phone and don't
Yeah.
think I won't break it out at a
That's what
concert
I
and be
have.
like,
I have it in my
here
phone.
we go.
And people are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, let me show you my picture. Let me see. I'll just show them. And they're
Oh,
like,
well,
whoa,
it's
what? Like, no, no, no,
oh,
no,
it's
no.
happening. It's happening. But just know that you will be the first that sees it when I finish it. So thank you for that.
Look
Okay,
forward
so
to it.
let's talk about those concerts. Before you mentioned you'd been to a
Okay.
lot of what one might call like famous or more recognized concerts
Yes.
when it comes to this band. So talk us through like how in the world did you just land there by accident? Obviously, I don't think anyone knew the future and that these were going to end up being the very shows that one seeks after. So how lucky are
Right.
you to even get to share this?
Hello, everybody. This is Dave Rich from the Eddie Casino Band out in Las Vegas. We're really excited to get this journey going, celebrating our music, our original music, on all platforms. We just released our first single over Labor Day weekend called Eddie Casino. If you're looking for new music, look out for our next single coming out to Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Music. These guys in the band are really excited to get started playing music for you all. If you like Tom Petty, Zach Brown, Jason Mraz, Dave Matthews Band, Rob Thomas, Jimmy Buffett, Pink Floyd, Stapleton, Bare Naked Ladies, Goose, Billy Strings, Sting and the Police, a ton of influences that we bring to the table. Hope you enjoy our music and look forward to seeing you soon live on stage.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is too, you don't know it until it starts happening because you go to your first Dave show and you're like, that show was amazing. That was the
Hmm.
fucking greatest show I've ever seen. I want to see them again in concert. And then you go before that, I've been going to a lot of concerts. I'd seen, Oingo Boingo in concert. My brother took me to Depeche Mode concerts. I had already been going to concerts in my teenage years, so I had I loved concert. I love live music.
Hmm.
So I and normally you go to a concert, you see the band, they're doing a tour, they play the set, and the next show they play, it's going to be the same set. Maybe they'll move one or two song ordered, whatever, but they're playing the same set, the same way, pretty much the whole tour, right?
Yes.
So I go to my first Dave concert, I'm like, this band's amazing. I got to see them again. And I go to a second Dave concert, and I'm like, that was a totally different concert. Amazing still, but they did not do the same set at all.
Yeah.
And these songs were the jams were different. They did different stuff. It was like, and I'm like, is this gonna happen every time? Like if I go to another concert, a third
Yeah.
concert, is it gonna? So you start going and you're like, okay, they don't do what everybody else does. They are
Right.
a jazz band that is improvising on stage, and every night is going to be a different show. Because people ask me, like, how can you go to show after show after show on tour? I'm like, you don't understand. They're not the same show.
Right.
It's like the same band, totally different set lists, totally different jams. you're getting a totally different show, and it's just that's why it's same as the Dead did that, and some other bands where people will just follow them because they're getting a different experience every time. So I went to a lot of shows, but the big ones that people may know, like I was at the Live in Chicago show in December of '98. Um, that was an incredible show. That they released that as one of their live albums. I joined the Warehouse in December of '98. The Warehouse actually didn't go live until I think January of '99.
Correct.
And I kept wanting to join the Warehouse, and they said, no, we haven't pushed live yet. And so I called them. I called them for like 3 days straight. And they're like, just give us your information. We'll take it down. We'll put you on the list. So I joined like before they pushed it live. And years later, this is a side story. Years later, I got, I'm not the one that like ever complains about my seat locations or anything.
Of course.
I'm not that way.
Yeah.
But 1 year, like 10 years later, like after I've been a member for a long time, I put in for this concert. It was like the one show I was going to go on the tour. And I got like lawn and like terrible seats. And I called them and I said, is there anything you guys can do? I understand if not. And she's like, oh, let me look at your account. She puts me on hold. She comes out. She goes, oh, you have really high seniority. You're like number 27 in after all the staff that had initially joined.
Yeah.
And all the crew, the lay people like us, I was like pretty high up and she goes, yeah, you should have gotten better seats than that. I'm going to fix that for you. And then I got great seats. But so I was like, oh, I'm glad I called them.
Absolutely. If only it worked that easily now, but thankfully they have way more fans, so things have to run differently, of course. Yeah.
Let's see. I was at Mile High before they closed that venue in '99. July of '99, Alanis Morissette opened for them. And
Holy
she came out and did Don't Drink the Water with them.
Oh, shit.
I was on the rail for that show, and I left that show with some pretty bruised ribs. I didn't enjoy being on the rail. But it was fun. It was great seeing her.
Wow. And what a show to be on the rail for. Holy shit.
People
dream of that happening again. Do you know that?
They do. I know, and she should. They should do it again.
They should.
Honestly, it was amazing. They didn't do Spoon though, which I was like, why didn't they do Spoon with her? I don't know. They did Don't Drink the Water, but they didn't do Spoon.
Something different, maybe.
Something different. I was it listener supported, which was 9/11/99.
Oh, and
yes. There's a tidbit to that. The shirts for that concert. I don't know if you've ever seen the shirt.
I don't know.
The front of it's an olive green shirt, and the front of it just says DMB like up here in the corner, and then the back of the shirt has a skyline of New York City, and in the middle are the Twin Towers, and above it says 9/11/99, and so you just look at that shirt and you're just like, wow, okay. But we all know Listener Supported was an incredible, I mean, that was a monumentous live show. Some of the best live versions of like 41 and Last Stop, I mean, they all spin off of that show. And I was so fortunate to be there.
And you had no idea. You just showed up.
I had no idea. I was at Charlottesville in 01. That was after they had recorded Every Day. That was their first big homecoming back to Charlottesville. They did 2 nights there. And frankly, those were the 2 worst DMB shows I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, wow.
They were terrible.
Why do you say that?
There's a reason why, because we're getting into some weeds here, but Every Day was like the first album that was, Glenn Ballard produced that, and he produced it like a pop album. They wrote all the music ahead of time, Dave and Glenn did, and then the band kind of came in, they handed them charts, and they said, this is what you're playing. And it was it was not what the band had been used to. Like, they organically would write songs, and they'd rehearse, and they'd work them out on the road, and then they come in the studio and record them. They didn't do this for that album. So when they hit the road for that tour for Every Day, they were, frankly, this is all my opinion. I don't think they were well. Yeah, I don't think they were well rehearsed, and because the songs were not road tested like they used to do, and because they didn't, really work them as a band, and they were mostly like just coming in with parts. The songs just didn't gel. Like I remember
Yeah.
I think they opened one of those shows with "I Did It," and it was horrible. It was like I was watching the show going, what where what happened to this band? Like these
Hmm.
guys. Like now, it for when I say they were horrible, I mean they were horrible for the Dave Matthews Band. Any other
Right.
band that you would compare them to, they were still great musicians. They were still playing well, but it just wasn't them
Right.
until they got into some of their other songs from other albums. I'm like, okay, there they are. But
Yes.
but those two shows were not great. And people are like, "What was the worst show you ever seen?" I'm like, Charlottesville. It was not good. Madison Square Garden in New York in '02. James Brown came out and played with them and did
Awesome.
Sex Machine,
Yes.
and he had his horn section come out and join Leroy, and that was mind blowing to see James Brown and Dave Matthews dancing together and doing Sex Machine was incredible.
I
Um,
heard from someone else that was there that like the energy in the room was like palpable. Like you could literally
It
feel
was, yeah, it
it.
was unbelievable. Like I can't explain it other than yes, the energy was. It was like static electricity in the room. Your hair was
Uh-huh.
standing up on end.
Yes. Yes.
I was at Central Park in '03, 9/24/03.
Shit. That's a
That was
great
a
one.
huge show. Another show that had some amazing, like Jimmy Thing with Warren Hayes and Don't Drink the Water. I think they opened with Don't Drink the. That was a great show.
Let's talk about
I
that
was
show only for a second, just because
yeah
I wasn't there, and in that time, I just I was not there. But I've seen videos, of course, of that, and what sticks out to me most is just the amount of people that were
yeah it was
there. It
huge.
looks
It
like a
was huge.
forever lawn of just a
Hmm.
sea of people. So how was that for you? And like, did you find that most of the people that were there, since there were so many people there, were really into it? Or was it just a lot of like traffic, people
Yeah.
talking? Like, what was the atmosphere like?
So I think I purchased like they had VIP tickets because it was like an AOL event so
Oh,
long ago.
yes.
Yeah, it was sponsored by AOL, and so they had VIP tickets, which I think I purchased one of them. It's like 250, and that got you like basically in the front section off to the side of the stage. So you weren't
Uh-huh.
on the rail, but you were. I wasn't way in the back. I was really close to the stage. Um,
Awesome.
I really couldn't see the crowd at that point.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do remember though, trying to get into the park was a nightmare. There were
I can't
so many
imagine.
people trying to get into Central Park that, it took a few hours even to just get there on foot, which I
Wow.
ended up having to do because there were no cabs available.
Yeah.
The streets were gridlocked, so I ended up walking like I don't know 50 blocks or something, which in New York is only like a couple miles. But well, like 50 blocks, got to my entrance. I got there right as they were starting, so I barely had time to get myself sort of situated. But yeah, looking back, like I've seen those pictures, it was a massive crowd. And that was really
Yeah.
my redemption because I begged my parents when I was 13 years old to go to New York City to see Paul Simon in Central Park
Mm.
in 1993 or 90. And of course, they said, no, you're not going. We're not going to New York to see Paul Simon. And I was so bummed. And I think that was the largest concert in Central Park. It was, Paul Simon had 100,000 people show up for that one. I
Wow.
don't know what the number was for Dave, but he was close.
It's a
Um,
lot.
so this was kind of my redemption. Like, okay, I didn't
Yeah.
get to see Paul Simon, but I'm going to go see Dave
But
Matthews
yeah, you can pull that one out of your pocket anytime and be the coolest guy at the concert,
Yeah,
honestly.
like Central Park.
Yeah.
I was at Golden Gate Park concert.
Oh shit,
as
that's
well.
another amazing one.
Yeah, that was in '04. That Santana came out and
Yes.
played on a couple songs with them. That
Yes.
was amazing.
So
I
good.
was at Hollywood Bowl in '07.
Mhm.
John Mayer came out and did 41 with them. That was pretty unbelievable. And I was at the Staples Center on August 19th when Leroy passed away. I was there for that night as well.
Wow.
That was
Yes.
a tough one.
Yes.
And I've seen Dave and Tim a bunch of times as well in Vegas, and
So what were your first thoughts when you separated the band and you just had Dave and Tim? Tell me what your thoughts were. Because people think different things when you just take a couple of people out of the band and tell me what your thoughts were.
I loved it because if you're a fan of Dave Matthews Band, well, if you're a true fan.
Fighting words.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, very judgmental. If you're a true fan, you're a fan of the music. That is the core. That is, obviously the fans and the culture and all that stuff. That's great and that's fun and that's like cherry on top. But it's really the music that probably brought you in the first place. And so Dave and Tim is really the core. I mean, you're stripping away the band, you're stripping away the solos and all the amazing musicianship that those guys bring. And you're just basically hearing the music and the song. It's about the song and the lyrics. And so for me, I loved it. Did I miss Carter and everybody? Yeah, of course. I love Carter, but
of course.
But it's a different show and it's a different vibe and it's a different feeling. And I remember
it's a different way to appreciate the band.
Well, exactly. It almost forces you to just listen to the song and the lyrics. Like Timmy's doing really cool shit, of course. But it's really about Dave, and it's like this is the core of the song. This is the genesis of everything else. And I really appreciate that, as a musician and just, loving the songwriting. It's great to just sit in the chair. Also, you go to the concert, okay, you're going to be standing most of the night, and people are going to be dancing, and they're going to be rowdy. I kind of like having that change of you know what, everyone's going to sit down, and we're going to listen to these songs. And even Dave was like, you can dance, or just try to dance in your chair a little bit. You don't stand up and get in the aisles, because then they're going to... And he would always make his jokes and stuff, and I was like, yes, just sit in your seat and listen. This is great.
Yeah.
And, so I really loved him, but not everybody.
No, I agree. I just like to hear your take on different things because it is a different sound. It's a different feel, just like you were saying. So I just wanted you to pick that apart a little more. So are there any other concerts that you've been to that kind of have stuck out in your journey?
I mean, I've been to a lot of concerts, Dave concerts specifically. Yeah. I've been to over, I think, 380 concerts.
Oh, wow.
But not Dave Matthews. That's just total.
A total.
It's basically where I spend all my spare money.
I feel you.
Yes. But for Dave, I've been to a lot of concerts. There's been concerts where there's been amazing standout moments, or they've had amazing guests like Herbie Hancock and John Mayer and Santana and James Brown. I've seen a lot of guests with him, which is one of the things I really love about them. Yeah. It's you never know, what one time at Irvine Meadows, which is a venue that no longer exists out here, but they played, and Bella Fleck and the Flecktones came out on 41. And that version of 41 ended up being 22 minutes or something like that. And it was, it was unbelievable.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So I kind of live for that's what I really like. When I go to the concerts, I'm like, man, I really hope he brings out some really great, guests. So.
You really do have to be into music, I think in general, to be into the Dave Matthews Band, because again, that is what it's about. But we talk about 22-minute versions of songs, and someone that's not into it, that's going to be their worst enemy.
Yeah, they're going to be what? Why would you sit there for a song that's 22 minutes? I'm again, you have to understand that the Dave Matthews Band is a jazz band. They are a jazz band. They are musicians that take turns soloing. They throw it to each other. They're talking to each other musically on stage. They're communicating. They are not a pop band. They are not they're not a rock band. They're a jazz band that is playing progressive fusion music. And if you understand that and you go into it with that expectation, then it makes sense. Okay, you go to a jazz performance in New Orleans at Preservation Hall, you're going to see a song that's going to be 20, 22 minutes long. because they're all taking solos and they're all taking turns, and then they bring it back and then they do this and they do that. That's totally normal. And
Yeah.
then, people get, I can't stand Dave Matthews Band. Their songs are, you go to an hour and a half concert and you're only going to hear 7 songs. I'm like, yeah, sorry.
It sounds amazing. I think it would be so disappointing. Not that this is ever going to happen, but in a hypothetical world, if I were to ever go to a Dave Matthews Band show and they gave me the studio or the album version of a song, I'd be like, fuck you. I know y'all can do better than this.
I'd be like, what the fuck was that, guys? But like, I totally agree. And the thing that keeps everyone coming back is like every tour, that you are going to hear a different solo in the middle of Jimmy Thing. You're going to hear a different type of solo, in Rapunzel or whatever, and it's going to be funky, or it's going to be chill, or it's going to be like heavy metal. They're going to change it up, and they're going to do something different. And you're going to be like, oh, I like that one. Or
yes.
what? I like the one from 5 years ago. Can you bring that one back? Because I like that better. But you're always going to get something different. And
right.
That's what I love most. I think most about the band is just how they constantly take the same song and make it fresh every time.
Yeah, no, I think that a lot of people share in that. And so that really does open, this is the perfect time, I think, to play a couple of voicemails, not trivia. I'm going to wait for that because I want to get you really good and nervous. That's what I want. And then we'll do trivia. So hold on, we're going to do that. But first, we're going to jump into some voicemails. So something that's new for season 5 is I really wanted to do something kind of old school. So if you remember back in the day when we used to call into radio stations and say, hey, I want to dedicate a song, or I want to shout out to my group, or can you play this song? Like, I just wanted something that was kind of like throwing back to that. So I came up with a Google voicemail, which anyone can call. It goes straight to the voicemail. I don't answer it, so there's not like a weird thing of I don't know you. You just go straight to the voicemail. And guys, you can call this for a shout out to your friends. Oftentimes on social media, I'll prompt you with a question. One of the last ones I posted was, why do you think, and this, of course, we know the future, but why do you think the Dave Matthews Band belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? And so that really did spark some conversation. I had a lot of people that called in and gave their thoughts. So again, if that's something that you're interested in, you can call in with anything. That number is 479-259-1630. So Larry and I are going to listen to a couple of these voicemails. I'm just going to pick them by just random. So here we go. Let's see what we hear.
A two-part answer. For album-wise,
well, this is the thing. You got to be able to play it from the beginning or it doesn't make sense. Da, 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 da. Can I do this? I don't know. Technology.
Hey, the space between. It's your favorite Denver musician, Austin Williamson. So the song that got me hooked on Dave Matthews Band, I'm 28 years old, so about, let's see, 10, 11 years ago, I was 17 years old, going through a breakup, thinking about the dichotomy of life, driving through downtown Houston, and I was listening to a radio station there, and a song came on, and it was called Funny the Way It Is. And, that song introduced me to the band. I'd heard songs before, but that was the song that spoke to me the most. Funny the way it is if you think about it. I think that can apply to so many of our lives in any situation that we face. And it can be a melancholic song, but for me, it means a lot about love and how we are all citizens of this planet. And while some of us here in America may face the problems of not wanting to work or go to school or thinking it's all for naught, you have people elsewhere who value life so much because they're not given as much as we are. And I think that might be what Dave was trying to get at. And I just love it so much. And ever since then, I've been the biggest fan I know. Love you, Renae. Love the podcast. God bless you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Austin. It's interesting how each song can really touch each of us in very different ways, maybe even to the point where they mean different things to us. And I like to talk about that. And I think, obviously music is a form of art. It is art. And so oftentimes art is up for interpretation. And I think that the band gives us that freedom in these songs to be able to take it as you need it, right? There may be meanings that they had behind all of that, but they're also okay with you pulling what you need out of it. And sometimes that can change, right? Listening to any given song 5 years ago, it may mean something completely different today. And that's a conversation that I love to have with people because, again, this band has we've met this band at different phases of our lives at different times, and what we needed at that time is often different, and it was able to fill that void, if you will, in whatever way. And so thank you, Austin, for calling in. Let's take one more. Let's see what we're going to get here.
So this is Julie. Dave Matthews Band song that hooked me was 41. A friend gave me 41 on my 41st birthday. Yes, I'm late to the Dave game, but that song saved me in every possible way at a hard time in my life. And those lyrics are my mantra.
What's up, everybody? This is David with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. We're a nationally touring tribute to DMB, playing shows all over the country and beyond. Our goal is to bring you back to the classic sound that you fell in love with in the 90s and the 2000s, featuring a violin, saxophone, and maybe some keyboards sprinkled in as well. You can find out information about all of our tours and shows by visiting thedmtb.com. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram and other socials by searching the Dave Matthews Tribute Band or the DMTB. Hope to see you on the road and enjoy the Space Between podcast.
That's awesome. I mean, that she just said 41 changed her life, and that's beautiful. 41 is definitely not the song that's changed my heart. I love it. It hasn't changed my heart, but it has for so many people. And she says she's late to the Dave game. There's no such thing, right? You found it.
We'll
you found it. That's all that matters.
Any time of their life.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yes, there's plenty of room. Come on in. The water is fine.
Hey, lady. It's Christina Thorson calling. I am driving to Atlanta to go get on the airplane to head to the Europe shows, and I'm super excited. I am sure I will see some of you wild and crazy people over there. I was just listening to the episode with Stephanie talking about keep kids in school in Mexico, and we've contributed to that several years when we've gone down, usually financially because schlepping the school supplies is not in my wheelhouse, so hopefully that's helping with those folks going to high school in Mexico. Anyway, always be kind, and we will see you guys at shows. Thanks.
So I think this kind of is a good segue to like the next part that I, of course, like to talk about, because this is a podcast about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. This is not a podcast about the Dave Matthews Band. Do we talk about it? Of course we do. But this is about the people that have fallen in love with this music and what that's meant in their lives. And so, one of the things that I hear often and have seen now that I am also a concert goer on the regular to see the Dave Matthews Band. That hasn't always been a part of my life, and it doesn't have to be part of your journey in order to be a fan. I'm so thankful that that is part of my journey now. But I have learned outside of the music, but also because of the music, people's lives have been impacted and filled them with so much love that it has given them an opportunity to spread that love and spread, so many beautiful things that people need. And often at tailgatings, you will see charity works of charity at a Dave Matthews Band concert. The band themselves is very mindful of our universe and the needs that it has, and often speaks about that. But what are some ways, once we go to these concerts, of course we're meeting other fans. Have you really considered yourself plugged into this community? And if so, what does that look like for you?
Yes. I used to be more so when I was younger. And it's changed over the years, but yeah, there's definitely a group of DMB fans that are my family, and that we know each other. We've been to a lot of shows together, and we always look forward to seeing each other, and they're lifelong friendships. For me, it had a little bit more of a direct impact. I'll give you the brief rundown. I started chatting in the warehouse. I don't know if you remember when the warehouse first started. There was a chat forum, and it was like instant messaging. You could chat and talk to everybody, and so I used to chat to a lot of people in the warehouse, and I met some local Southern California people there. And one of the people that I met early on, her name was Phyllis, Phil Dog. She's great, and we talked and we struck up a friendship, and then we ended up going to a lot of shows together. And in 1999, we went to a show up in Shoreline, which is in up near San Francisco in Mountain View. And Phyllis comes running to me in the park. We get out of the parking lot. She's like, "Boody, you got to come over here and hear this kid playing his guitar." I'm like, "Okay." So I go over there, and there's this guy. He's young 19-year-old, 20-year-old, and he's playing his acoustic guitar out in the parking lot. And his songs were great. They reminded me of Dave, and great guitar playing, great songwriting, good voice. And we started talking. His name is Genji, and we started talking. And he lived in LA, and I'm like, "I live in LA." And he's like, "Cool, we should get together and jam sometime." Great. Flash forward, where are we? 23 years later. So we formed a band. We ended up touring all over the country with this band. This band was called Four Way Free. Still is.
You formed a band. Is that what you're saying? You guys formed a band. Holy shit, yes.
We toured all over the country. We had, our band was, we had horn, we had acoustic guitar, we had a cello player, myself on drums. And occasionally we had some other guests in there, electric guitar, flute, that sort of thing. But we toured all over, and we did that. And when we sort of, settled down, got married, had kids, that band is still there, and we're still doing things. But then Genji invited me to come and form a Dave Matthews tribute band with him. And I was like, man, I don't know that number one, I don't know if I can play that kind of music, like even try to get close to what Carter's doing on some of these songs. Yeah. And number two, that just seems like a very gluttonous thing for me to do. Like, that's like a fat kid eating donuts all day long, playing that music. He's like, no, just come to one rehearsal, just see if you like it, and see how it goes, and and I said, okay. So this was 2016. So I went to the rehearsal. Of course, it was super fun. We had a great time. So now we have a Dave Matthews tribute band. I think we're the only one in Southern California. There's one other one out of San Diego, but I don't know that they're playing anymore. As far as I know, we're the only one on the West Coast right now that is active. It's called...
What is your band called?
Are you ready?
Yes. I'm so ready.
The Fake Matthews Band.
Oh God. Yeah. That's awesome. It's just right there. It's right there.
We're gonna hit you right on the head with it. Fake Matthews Band. So we've been playing shows now for a while. We got a show this Friday night, actually. And it is a lot of fucking fun. And we are not so there's two kinds of tribute bands, right? there's a tribute band that tried to look like the band. They try to do everything exactly like the band. Everything has to, when you go to see that tribute band, they're trying to give you the experience of actually seeing the real band. There's like Beatles tributes that do that, like the Fab Four, and there's, and there is a Dave Matthews tribute band out there that I'm aware of, and they really try to do that, and those guys are great. That is not what our band does. Our band, we are trying to capture the essence of the Dave Matthews Band and the spirit, but we're not trying to be exactly like the Dave Matthews Band, because honestly, nobody is going to do that. I'm not trying to play every Carter fill and lick, because nobody's going to be able to do that, because Carter is Carter. That's it. What we are trying to do is have fun with the music. We do a lot of cool mashups that you might not hear with the Dave Matthews Band itself. We do, we're a lot more flimsy than, not flimsy, but whimsical than I think some of the other tribute bands that are like, no, we got to do it this way because this is how Dave does it, or we got to do it this way. Like, we're just going to have fun. So we have a lot of fun, and I think the Dave fans that come out and have heard us really have a good time and really enjoy it, and so that's kind of been my journey. I've had girlfriends.
Dude, that's amazing.
I know. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
You have to tell us, though. So if someone's listening to this and they're like, oh, shit, I want to hear you guys, or maybe I live in California and I want to see you guys, what are some ways that they can get connected with the band to see, can they listen to it, or can they see you guys?
They go on YouTube. They can type in Fake Matthews Band. There'll be tons of clips. And then we have a Facebook page, Fake Matthews Band. They can subscribe to the page. Don't have a website because, frankly, websites for bands these days is kind of like, just go to Facebook or Instagram. I mean, all the information is
exactly.
there.
I feel you. I don't.
It's like, what else?
Websites are old school.
I'm just going to direct you to YouTube for clips or
exactly.
Facebook for events, and that's all you need. So, so Facebook and YouTube, you can definitely go and hear some of the clips and some of the band and what we do. It's a lot of fun.
So what city will you guys be performing in this Friday?
We are going to be in Lake Forest. That's in like South Orange County. And then we have an Anaheim show coming up in June. We have a Long Beach show coming up in July, and we'll have Huntington Beach in August.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but I do cover Dave Matthews tribute bands, if you will, on the regular. It'll be in August, but I will be in New York with the Dave Matthews tribute band. And then in July, I will be in Oklahoma with another tribute band. There are a lot of tribute bands. So guys, if I look at your schedule and I'm ever near your city, I'd love to come out and cover your band just to kind of spotlight. Because I believe that ultimately a tribute band of any part of the Dave Matthews Band music really is such the highest form of a compliment, to say we really dig this music. And like you said, we're not trying to be them, but we're trying to pay honor to the sounds that they have given the world, right? Because they have given the world such a different kind of music, a different sound, and all of the beautiful things you've talked about. So I love tribute bands. I know that people that listen to this podcast, they love a tribute, because tribute bands are easier to get to than the real band sometimes, right? Because, it just is, and it's more affordable, things like that. And so definitely, I know that people are we have so many fans in California. A lot of people are upset that this year, the Dave Matthews Band themselves, they are not visiting the state of California.
I have some theories about that, which we don't need to go into.
Please tell us.
Dave Matthews Band, if you've noticed, they like playing outdoor venues mostly. I don't know.
Yes.
So they don't really like playing indoor arenas or things like that. And all the really good outdoor venues here in Southern California, one of them just recently closed in Irvine, which is one that they really enjoy playing at. The only ones left are like the Hollywood Bowl, which their schedule was probably completely booked, which is why they couldn't get that.
Oh, sure.
Or the Greek, which the Greek is amazing, but it's small. It only holds 5,700 people, so they'd have to do 3-4 nights there, which
Yeah.
I wouldn't be upset about. They did that years ago. They did 2 nights there. It was amazing. But it's, it's not a practical when you have a tour schedule to stop for 4 or 5 nights somewhere. So I think they skipped it. But I've heard rumors.
But
I'm not going to tell you where, and I'm not going to substantiate, but I've heard rumors that the Dave Matthews Band is headed for a residency at the Sphere in Vegas, probably this fall. So my guess is they were like, okay, we're going to skip California, but we're going to be doing a residency at the Sphere in the fall, and that's probably going to draw out everybody from California and surrounding states.
Everyone in the world will want to go.
Yeah, that would be amazing. So I will definitely be there. But I think I'm hoping that that's kind of what's going on here, because it is very unusual that they skipped California altogether. So we'll see.
I hope that happens. I was in Vegas last week with another tribute band.
I saw that.
Gray Street, but they have another side of their band that is not the music of the Dave Matthews Band, and they're amazing. But while I was there, I got to go to the Sphere. I had never been inside. Of course, I'd seen it from the outside. It's all over the internet, but then also just seeing it in person is just like this whole experience. But we went inside and did the Sphere Experience, which is a movie, if you will, but honestly, I've done a lot of things in my life and I've never done anything like that before. It was amazing.
I
So
can't imagine.
if we get the opportunity
I just
to
can't
see
imagine.
our favorite band
It's gonna be
in a venue like that, I mean, that's something that no fan, no matter how long you've been a fan of the Dave Matthews Band, no one's ever seen the show that will be put on there, because the capabilities are so different, It's
and
just,
I have some friends that are huge Fish fans, like we are today. They are Fish, and they went recently and they said it was mind blowing, and I'm like,
oh, so
man, I
start
can't wait.
saving
I
your
can't.
money
Start
now.
Saving your money, everybody. Start saving your
Fuck.
money.
You've been unofficially warned on the Space Between podcast that you should save your money.
But yeah,
Save your money.
So Fake Matthews Band, it's a blast to hoot. There are some songs where I feel like I'm barely holding on for dear life, trying to get through it. But we're making it happen. We're faking it.
What do your kids think about all of this?
Good question. I have a 9 and 12-year-old, both boys. My 12-year-old likes Dave Matthews. And he's been asking me like, "Hey, when are you gonna take me to a show?" I haven't taken him yet, but I think he's ready. So I think we'll probably try to hit one soon. My younger one, anytime Dave comes on in the car, is just like, oh, I hate Dave Matthews Band, and I'm just like, it's okay, buddy. You do not have to like this band just because Dad likes the band. You can like whatever you like.
That's right.
It's totally fine. He's like, okay, I'm glad you don't, it's okay that I don't like them. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. You don't have to like everything I like, and I don't really like everything you like. He likes like
That's
techno
exactly
music
right.
and stuff, and I'm just like, oh, God.
Oh.
No live drums or anything. I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's fine.
It's all digital.
It's great.
All digital music.
But yeah, they understand. They know the passion. My wife as well. She's in the same boat. She likes Dave. She was not a Dave fan before we met, but she understands how this works and what the drill is.
That it's an essential to your happiness.
She understands that. And she'll go to the shows and she enjoys it. Like she's like, no, I like the music. It's good. Sometimes she's like, oh, that song went on a little too long. I'm like, no, you're crazy. It was fine. It was perfect.
22 minutes. Couldn't they have done it in 12?
Could they just stopped after that third verse? I'm like, no.
God. No. We need more. It's like we need more cowbell, but it's just we need more extended versions. I don't know. We just need all of it. I need all of it. Okay. So 'tis the time, my friend, for some Dave Matthews Band trivia. I think this is the perfect time. Yeah. I've sorted through, again, if you're listening to this, thank you. But just know that you can also watch this on my YouTube channel, which is simply just the Space Between podcast on YouTube. So I am a self-identified nerd when it comes to the Dave Matthews Band. Do I know everything? No, but I love that because there's so much to learn when it comes to this band. 30 years. Obviously, I've not been part of I was 11 when they started, so I wasn't part of it always. And so I have such a great opportunity to learn more and learn more and learn more. And as I've learned more, I have typed it up and put it in a binder. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see. I literally keep this in my car, especially when I'm driving to a venue, because you never know when the time is right to pull out that book, and then everyone's going to be like, fuck yeah, I want to do trivia.
You never know. Hey, that's a good
I love
song.
trivia.
You never know.
Hey, it is a great song. Look at me just...
It is a great song.
Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, you have a whole different appreciation now because trying to somewhat play their music in your own style, but it's a whole different appreciation when you're actually having to learn how to physically and mentally do it
I've had to
with
spend
your body.
a lot of time breaking down Carter's parts, and I have an app that can slow it down and just extract a drum part. And so I listen
smart.
to that very slowly. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing?
That's great. That's awesome. God, technology, right?
God.
Technology. Okay, so let's start out with this question. And we talked about this before we recorded, but we're going to give a little bit of a pause after I read the question, just for you guys that are listening to this or watching this at home, so you can play along. So we are going to do some Dave Matthews Band trivia, always a fun time. So we'll start with this first question. Here we go. What is the name of the charitable organization founded by the Dave Matthews Band? I'll read that one more time just for everybody to have a little bit of time. What is the name of the charitable organization founded by the Dave Matthews Band?
You let me know when you
All
want
right,
to
Boody.
answer.
Any thoughts? You go right ahead.
I'm pretty sure it's Bama Works.
You are right. Bama, B-A-M-A works.
Bama.
I don't know. Bama. I say Bama because
you're from
Alabama. It has nothing. I'm from Arkansas. Totally different state. But
Arkansas, Alabama.
It does start with an A. They have the beach. We have lakes. Totally different. We have lakes.
Wonderful.
But that is it. Yeah, it is a beautiful place. Dave does come here, so I feel like we are now recognized as a state.
Yeah, Dave comes to your state, then you're doing well. You're on the map.
Boom. Well, there's a lot of Arkansas connections to the Dave Matthews Band. One may not know that unless you dig deep into the staff that is part of the Dave Matthews Band. But there are Jerry, the driver for Dave. He is from Arkansas. He does not live here anymore. Once you get money, you move out of the state. That's what I hear.
Okay, all right.
That's what happens from what I hear, unless you're a Walton and you stay the fuck here because that's where the money's at. But yeah, Jerry is a resident of Florida now. But I also know a truck driver that drives for the Dave Matthews Band. He's from Malvern, Arkansas. And so a lot of Arkansas connections to the Dave Matthews Band. Okay, so second question.
Okay.
The Dave Matthews Band member, Boyd Tinsley, released his own solo album titled what? This one is, I guess it's technically not Dave Matthews Band trivia, but we're really going to pick apart the members of the band. Obviously, Boyd Tinsley is no longer a member of the Dave Matthews Band, but was a founding member, if you will, and will also, just as we've learned in recent news, will be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with the band. If I can just give my personal opinion on that right quick, and we'll just remember this show is all about our personal opinions. I feel like that was 100% the right move. We can take away things that we don't have to take away the things that people have done and the things that we're doing right now. However, you cannot deny the fact that he was part of the band for a very extended part of time, and he was part of the band or part of the original sound, right? Because he played an instrument that is no longer part of the Dave Matthews Band. So a lot of people love that part of the band. So I feel like it was a good move. I feel like it was the right thing to do. What are your thoughts on Boyd Tinsley being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I agree with everything you said. It'll be interesting to see if he performs with them at the induction ceremony.
Correct.
That I'm not sure how I feel about. I do agree with everything you said. I also agree with the band and their decision to, push him out.
Yes.
I hear a lot of people complaining that Boyd's not there and the band's not the same. I'm like, you know what? The band, yes, the band is not the same technically because you don't have this particular sound that you were used to hearing in the band. And I love the violin as well. But things evolve and things change, and that's life. And Buddy Strong is amazing.
That's life.
And adds a whole other dynamic that the band didn't have. I mean, they have Butch, but Buddy plays very differently than Butch, and his vocals.
Yes.
And so, yeah, you lost this, but you gained this, and it is what it is.
Exactly.
In my opinion.
It is. And as far as talking about, the performance that they make or that they will be giving at the induction, I've talked with different people about this and this is not going to happen. But in my dream scenario, here's what I feel like a good compromise would be. Because again, I do feel like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame really is grasping the concept of their history, how it is that they've made it to here. So in my dream scenario of a performance, I'd have, of course, all the current members, but I would also have Boyd, Butch, and Peter come on and really just play together, because that's everybody that could be there that's had a part in what this band has become. And what a beautiful thing that would be. And also it would give separation of, this is the one time this is going to happen. Right. And it's never going to happen again, because if we bring Boyd out, there's going to be a billion people that are like, fuck yeah, he's back. No, it's not going to be part of the future. It's going to be part of what happens at that particular concert. And that is it. So I think it would be beautiful if they could bring in all of those people that we know. That would be really cool. That'd be beautiful.
Okay, to answer your question, I don't know the name of the album, but I'm going to take a guess. I know that Boyd Tinsley wrote True Reflections, which they used to perform, which I didn't care for the song that much, although I did really love the solo section in the middle with the organ that Butch used to play. I thought that was great, but I didn't care that much for the verses and the... Anyways, I'm going to say his solo album was called True Reflections.
You got it. Yay. Woo. You did it. I mean, yeah. Okay, so next question. Which Dave Matthews Band album features the fire dancer as its cover art?
I know that one. That's going to be...
One more time for our listeners.
Oh, no,
Which Dave Matthews Band album? Yep.
Google it really quick.
Which Dave Matthews? Oh, no. Well, I mean, if that's how you learn, that's a way to learn. So which album of theirs has the fire dancer on the very front of it? Stand Up. Stand Up. That's right. Stand Up is the name of the album. And I don't think it's an album that we talk about enough. Can I get an amen? I love it.
It is an underrated album, I will say. There's some albums that, just they are what they are.
Of course. They are. They're not all created equally. They're not, they could never be created equally. But they all have beautiful parts in each one of them.
What is your
That is what I'll say.
album, Renae?
No, no. This is about you, not about me. Okay, because, I have two answers for that. There's going to be, what is my favorite album emotionally? And what is my favorite album that I think just has my favorite songs on it? Emotionally, if you can see, I don't know if you can see behind me. I've got some albums. This one right here. This is the Hollywood Bowl 2018, which obviously was not that long ago. I was too. It was just shortly after my husband and I started dating, and that was his very first show. And I obviously there's no way he could have appreciated it because it was his first, and he met the Dave Matthews Band when he met me. So he just really was like getting into it. But he says now, because now he's just been exposed way more. He would claim that for sure. He did not know. He did not know. But he listens to it now with such different ears, and he wishes that he could have appreciated it like he does now then. But it was such a beautiful, beautiful show.
That show,
I think.
correct me if I'm wrong, but that show had the Philharmonic came out and they did Come On, Come On. Oh my God.
Yes. Was that not just like a fairy tale?
And Come On, Come On is probably my favorite song from his late era. I have it separated by eras.
So
that
good.
Song and having the orchestra behind it was a moment, man. That was.
Oh well, and he did. I'm gonna pull this. Talk. What's the name? I'm gonna pull it off the wall now.
He did another one too with the orchestra before.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to think on. Here on out. That right there. Okay, so I remember this because I did not know what was about to happen. I don't know if anyone knew that they were there. As far as the orchestra goes, I don't know who knew. I did not know. So what I do remember is that Dave was on stage, and what I remember is he's buying time, and I couldn't figure out why, because he was just kind of like talking, but also kind of looking to the side. Like I could just tell that he was trying to buy some time, but I didn't know for what. And then the orchestra is on some kind of rotating platform, and the way they came out and the way the song felt, and just, that venue in general, it was one of those moments that I'll never forget. Yeah. It was beautiful. It was I wish that song could be done that way every time. It was a moment. And then there was, because it was Here On Out and I was there with the man that I love, like it was that emotional everything for me. But as far as like, which one do I love the best? I don't know the answer to that. I can't, there's no way that I can just be like, okay, here we are in rank 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I will never do that. And I feel like that's not an answer that I have to give, right? It doesn't have to be. Right? Yeah. At different times, there's different ones, right? Yeah. Like, I love you today the most, but then tomorrow it's like, oh. Yeah. Okay, so let's jump ahead. Okay, I like this question because it's a little bit different. So I'm gonna name off 4 Dave Matthews Band songs, and you're going to let me know which one of these songs was not recorded in the 90s. So 3 of them are going to have been recorded in the 90s. 1 will not have been. Okay, so we have Halloween. We have The Song That Jane Likes. Okay. We have Granny. Okay. And last one, If I Had It All. One more time for our listeners. The 4 songs would be Halloween, The Song That Jane Likes, Granny, and If I Had It All. Which one of those 4 songs was not recorded in the 90s?
I'm going to go with If I Had It All. It was not a 90s song.
And you would be right. You would be right. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes,
the rest
sir.
Of those...
Hey, you were doing great.
Oh,
you got these. Should I level up a little bit? Do I need to get a little more difficult?
This is your show. You do what you want to do, Renae. I'm just here for the ride.
Oh, no. Well, okay, I think that, like I said earlier, the hardest part of trivia can often be when I give you words or lyrics from a song, and you have to tell me what the name of that song is.
See, this is my
That's
weakness,
difficult, not because
lyrics, they just get jumbled around in my head. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Well, we'll start slow. We'll start slow, and here we go. I love that I just said that. I swear by now I'm playing time against my troubles. Oh, I'm coming slow.
Oh, come on.
But
it's 41.
speeding.
It's 41.
Yes, okay. Correct. Right. Okay. In the world, your balloon, peeping Tom for the mother station.
maybe Satellite. I'm not sure on that one.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah. Dang. I'm trying to trip you up. Let's okay. Which one do I think is the most of God? Okay, let's just go a little venture out a little bit more. I probably get it wrong as much as I get it right, but I got it right, woman, when I caught your eye. It's very hard just to read that without saying it. I'm
not sure. I'll go with maybe She, but I don't know.
I'm gonna read it one more time. Probably get it wrong as much as I get it right, but I got it right, woman, when I caught your eye. Probably get it wrong as I just hear it in my head.
Nope, I can't place that one.
Okay.
Can't place that one.
You're gonna kick yourself. I feel it. Spaceman.
Oh, okay. Yep. There it is.
Yeah, you hear it now? Yep. You hear it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes. Yeah. I mean, yes. It's tougher to do it this way.
I'm not one of those fans. So there's fans that before the show, what's he going to open with? And how many times has he played this song? And how many times has he opened with that song?
Right.
That is not me. I am not the DMB nerd when it comes to the stats. I've been to a lot of shows. I love the music. I love the band. But I'm not the guy that's going to tell you, I don't know all the so
no, that is tough, but I went that direction but also tough. You've gotten all of them right except for that one. So let's do one more, and we'll do one more. Okay, let's see. You know what, I'll do this one because I got it wrong, and I got it wrong in a very public way, and I actually had somebody message me and tell me I didn't know anything about the Dave Matthews Band, and that's cool. Whatever.
See, that's not it. No. I digress.
Whatever. Okay. What does JTR stand for?
John the Revelator.
Yeah. I said Riveter, I think, once upon a time on air.
John the Riveter.
Listen.
That's cool.
I said, I don't know. But yeah, totally got reamed. Man. People are mean. Come on. I don't know everything. I don't know everything.
I don't know everything either, clearly. I had no idea where those lyrics were from, Spaceman. But yeah, John the Revelator, that's crazy, but it's a great unreleased song. There's so many
It's so good, and it's
released, and I'm like, man, come on, just put these on the album.
But I mean, it's beautiful, but it's almost kind of like an insurance policy for the band. If we ever need to put out an album, we got stuff ready.
They can put out 3 more albums and still have more songs sitting there in the quiver. It's unbelievable.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's right. Well, it's unbelievable what this band has been able to do. I mean, 30 years, we're going into our 34th year with the band. We've got 33. That's even wild to say, as most musicians don't get that time. Would you agree with that? I don't think they do.
I would agree with that. There are bands, obviously, that have a lot of longevity and have been around a long time, but there are very few that tour as constant as this band does. I think in the time that they started touring, they've only taken off 3 years, 3 tour seasons that I can recall. Otherwise, they've been on the road every year, and there are very few bands that do that and can do that.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think DMB is an enigma in that sense. And one of which we probably won't see again in our lifetime. And it, I think about that moment a lot, that the day that they are done, and what that's going to look like and how that's going to feel. And I know that that's like a shitty thought, but it's inevitable.
No, we think about it.
And it's something that, all the fans are going to have to come to terms with at some point. I mean, Carter's 64 now. He's getting up there. And
Yes,
so,
yes.
eventually that band they're not going to really be able to tour much anymore. And
That's
so
right. That's
you have to
right.
enjoy it now.
We have to prepare.
Have to prepare.
Enjoy it now because we're not promised tomorrow. I'm surprised that we've gotten to the time that we have, not because I'm surprised in them, surprised in general because this is not something that happens. And so what a time to be alive. What a time to be alive.
And
I mean,
just
we've
don't
got
take
the
it for
Dave Matthews
granted.
Band.
There's people that bitch about
No.
Boyd not being in the band and this and that, and Dave talking politics on stage. It's like, just shut up and enjoy the time that you have left with this band, because this is not going to be here forever. They're not going to do
It will
this
not
forever,
be.
and so you just have to be in the present moment and enjoy what it is. That's
That's
my
right.
message
That's
to all
exactly
you
right.
fans out there.
Yeah, listen up, everybody. Larry, I cannot thank you enough for, being willing to take some time out of your day to share, in your journey. But, I love that people do want to talk about the Dave Matthews Band because it makes me feel a little less crazy knowing that there are people out there that love them, if not as much as I do, more. It's beautiful that so many people have found this, and it's beautiful what so many people have taken from it, how it's navigated our lives have been changed because of this music. And that's a crazy thing. I don't think people talk about enough the impact that music has on so many people. And I think that that's a story that needs to be talked about more. I say this every show because I think it's worth saying that most of us get up and we turn that TV on or turn the radio on often the first thing that we hear is something bad, right? Something that's bad that's happening because there's so much hate and there's so much just heartbreaking things going on in the world. So, I think talking about these beautiful things like music and bands and what it's done for all of our lives is a great story. And so I hope to be continuing this. We know that the Dave Matthews Band fan, there's at least 35,000 of us, as the joke goes, that there's only 35,000 fans, but we all go to all of the shows. So I know that I have at least 34,900 more stories to go because I have 100 now. So I hope to be doing this for a long time. So guys, if you... Thank you. It's been a beautiful thing. It's changed my heart, and I know that it's made an impact on so many other people that really have just found so much solace in this band. So again, Larry, thank you so much for offering up your story. Guys, if you're listening to this and you are interested in sharing your own journey, please reach out to me on any of the socials. You can find the Space Between podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Of course, you can email me as well. But if you're interested, everyone's journey looks very different. You do not have to have ever gone to a show, but you do have to love the Dave Matthews Band. And so reach out to me. I'd love to have you on the show. But in the meantime, guys, be sure to follow us because the Space Between podcast is about to be on the road, which is exciting because guess what? The Dave Matthews Band is on its way to the United States to start the U.S. tour in Tampa, Florida. So the Space Between podcast will be there in West Palm Beach, in the Woodlands, and in Dallas, and we'll be in other places. So definitely stay tuned on social media. But in the meantime, guys, peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band. Thank you, Larry, so much.